Hey y'all, Chef IrixGuy here, and a lot of y'all asked me, hey man, how do you smoke a pork butt, also known as a Boston butt, from start to finish using a Masterbuilt electric smoker? So within this video, I'm going to go through step by step how I smoke a Boston butt in my Masterbuilt electric smoker. Now before we proceed, I want to remind everyone that if you choose to follow this video, everything that I use I've linked within this video's description. So you can expand this video's description and then click the links there to find everything, including the electric smoker. So easy process. I'm not going to get overly complicated with the procedure. Everybody's got their own smoking barbecue techniques. My goal is to share with you what I do, and by doing so I've been able to smoke, at the time of filming this, just on this smoker, probably about 13 or 14 butts, and all have turned out perfect. So, you know, that's my objective here, is to share with you how I do it, and hopefully if you choose to follow my procedure, hopefully you'll have the same phenomenal results. We're going to keep it, again, we're going to keep it simple, but we're going to be very thorough with every step. And I want to caution everyone, if you're the impatient type of person, you don't need to do this, because barbecue is not something you can rush. You could rush it, but it's not going to be any good. You need at least, I would say, a 24-hour commitment. So don't start this, well, you can watch the video, but don't start smoking your butt until you've got about 24 hours to spare. And you know, this is time where you can monitor your smoke, monitor the ambient temps, monitor the meat temps. We're going to go through all of that within this video. Refill the hickory chips periodically. We're going to go through all of that within this video. So again, if you're the impatient type, or you don't have 24 hours to devote, just don't do it, man. Don't do it. It's not worth your time. So with that being said, I look forward to sharing this procedure with everyone. We're just going to hop right in. Any questions that you may have during the video, just make notes or whatever and comment below, and I'll try to respond to your questions within upcoming videos. But I'm going to try to make this as straightforward as possible. For starters, you notice that I have an umbrella right here. This is on purpose. I checked the weather forecast. There shouldn't be any rain, but should a pop-up shower appear, I can open this up and keep everything covered. So, not everybody has a covered patio, so that's something to take into consideration. We will be dealing with electricity, so this is not something that you need to have outside in the rain. So, and you cannot use it indoors. It produces carbon monoxide, which is deadly. So you got to use it outside, but take weather into consideration too. So now we're going to set it up. I'm going to pull out my Masterbuilt electric smoker step by step. We're going to go through everything from setting it up, to putting the butt in, to monitoring the temps, to refreshing the hickory chips. It's going to be a lot of fun. So this is about a 10-pound pork butt. Actually, they often refer to this as a half butt, but it's about 10 pounds. Something you need to be aware of, see this whitish colored part? That needs to face up. When you put it in the smoker in a little bit, that needs to face up. That's called the fat cap. And as it smokes for many, many hours, that'll help to even better flavor everything. So make sure that white part is up. What you're going to want to get, and this right here, this isn't for flavor. This is just functioning as what's called a binder. So just get the cheapest yellow mustard you can find. You could rub this on with your bare hands. You could wear gloves, do whatever you want to do. Obviously after touching raw pork, you need to thoroughly wash your hands. But what I like to do is this. So I just put a generous amount on, and then I rub it all the way around with a large spoon. And you just want to make sure you get every little part. And also, obviously, the underside of it, you want to do that. I recommend doing that first, so you don't have to lift it back out. But see, we're going to get all these sides here generously coated with the yellow mustard. Again, this is not for flavor. This yellow mustard is a binder. It's going to make our seasoning stick. I can do this side better. And sometimes what I'll do too, after I lift it into the electric smoker, sometimes I'll sprinkle a little bit more on them. But, okay, so there's the yellow mustard, that's the binder. Barbecue salt, there's so many different types of dry rubs you can get. This is just one of many, and again, you can expand this video's description and click the link there to find everything that I'm using, including the electric smoker. So, just put a generous coating of your dry rub of choice on here. This is barbecue. This is not a healthy eating contest. So get you a good generous coating of this, because as this slow smokes, this is what's going to further enhance the flavor of the pork. Now obviously we'll be smoking with hickory, so hickory flavor will be pronounced. Let's see, I'm going to move this over here so I don't get it in my stove. And I mean, there's so many different varieties of dry rub, so, you know, just experiment. I know this is a good and easy to find one. Again, I linked it within this video's description. And, you know, as a reminder, it doesn't matter what kind of rub you use if you don't properly smoke your pork butt. It doesn't matter what kind of flavoring you've added, seasoning you've added to it, if it's not slowly smoked over hickory or apple wood or something like that. So, but yeah, that's it. I mean, I've got a generous coating of the dry rub, so my butt is now ready for my electric smoker. So, I keep it covered. And again, I've linked the cover like I use and the smoker like I use within this video's description. I'm going to adjust the camera angle here so you can see everything here. Something I encourage you to do if you store your electric smoker outside is to get a cover like this. And then this right here is just a big strong magnet, so it better prevents the cover from blowing away. Now, we're going to go through everything here. So this is the drip pan that goes on the back. I always store it on the top upside down so it doesn't collect water while it's in use, while it's in storage rather. Also, I drape my power cord over the top of the electric smoker while it's not in use, so it's not out in the elements. So we're going to snap this on the back bottom. There's just two little clips, and it lets if there's juices that drain out, they go in this drip pan instead of on your patio or your deck. So I put that there. Next thing we're going to do, pop open. Very nice latch mechanism on this. And you can see I've got everything in here. I've got my racks. Now, since I'm only smoking one butt today, to make cleanup more effortless, I'm going to take out the extra cooking grates, smoking grates. Because really all we need is one. So we're going to put these in a safe place. And it is worth mentioning, after every smoke, I clean everything. So all of this is clean, ready to smoke on. There's our water pan. Typically when I'm just doing one butt, I like to have the smoker grate right on top of the water pan. And we're going to discuss the water pan in more depth here in a minute. But let's go ahead and pull the water pan out for now, because we're going to need it when we go back into the kitchen. Since it's been in storage, I do like to visually inspect, make sure there's nothing weird in my smoker anywhere. So, you know, insects or anything like that. I mean, this sounds nasty, but how bad would it be if you failed to inspect and you finish your smoke and then you had like a smoked rat or a smoked mouse or something that had gotten trapped in there. So always do your due diligence and check. Weird things like that can happen. Next thing you want to do is take out this. This is the wood chip tray. Now as we smoke, we will reload this using the tool on the side, and we'll go through how to do that later. But pull this out for now, because what we want to do is go ahead and load it up with hickory chips. So just to recap, we've got all the unwanted racks in there, and you may be using all yours. You may be doing a huge smoke, but I'm just doing one butt. So I've got one rack. That'll just make it easier to clean up. Don't have to clean all those other racks because they're already clean. They won't be used. We've got the drip pan in the bottom. We've got the drip tray on the back. We've performed our inspection to make sure there aren't any insects or rodents or anything that have snuck in here while it was in storage for a few days. And we're going to go ahead and load this wood chip tray up. So as I mentioned previously, for the initial batch of wood chips, hickory chips, we pulled the tray out. So see this little area right here? What we're going to do is open my wood chip storage container. And by the way, I've linked this within this video's description too, as well as the wood chips like I use. I'm using hickory today. You could use apple wood, you could use oak, you could use pecan, you could use mesquite. Typically when you think of a Boston butt, hickory comes to mind. So hickory would be my go-to. Some people like cherry wood. You know, you do whatever you want to do. But if you're new to this, you probably can't go wrong with hickory. I mean, hickory is when you think of barbecue and pulled pork, hickory is the number one. If you polled a lot of people, they'll probably tell you hickory is what they use when they smoke barbecue. But so we're using hickory today. I filled that tray up, and now I'm going to show you how to put it in the smoker. This is really important to have a storage container for your wood chips. So I hope I'm getting an acceptable camera angle, because this has been a point of confusion for some people. So the wood chips are in there obviously, and this is angled like this. If you turned it over, wood chips would fall out. So if the wood chips are sitting in there, you know you've got it the correct side up. Now what you're going to do is gently kind of feel and you'll feel the grooves there. Let's see. See, that's too high. Well, if you look in there, you'll see like it looks like a little rail. And the best way to explain it, see if you look at that, there's a side rail. This is going on, if you go down below, it's not going to go inside. It sits on top of the rail. There's a little rail in there, and that just sits on top of it. And then once it's in, if you visually inspect, you'll see the heating element down below that. So again, just to demonstrate, look at this ridge on the side. Put your head down really low, you'll see a rail. That slides, each edge of that slides on top of that rail that's in there. So now you got your wood chips in. So we're going to go into the kitchen and prepare the water pan. So this is the water pan. Y'all are probably looking at the water pan and be like, man, that's filthy. It has been thoroughly cleaned since the last smoke. It's just that smoke will discolor things over time. So what you want to do with this water pan, there's a little thing right there that says max. I don't know how well you can see it, but it's right there. So I'm going to fill the water up to that max line. Just standard tap water. So you can see my water is filled up to that max line. Now this is completely optional. This is a few little cloves of garlic that I chopped up. You can put them in the water pan if you want to, in the water. You could add onions in there if you want to. What this will do is further enhance the aromatics, because as this slow smokes, the garlic, chopped up garlic clove that's in there, will even further enhance the flavor of the meat while it's smoking. So Again, completely optional. All that you have to add is water, but if you choose to put other things in the water, if you choose to put other things in the water, it can be cool. Some people even use a little bit of apple juice in there. Some people put apples in there. You know, you do what you want to do, but don't feel bad if you don't have garlic clove, because really all you need is tap water. But you can get as fancy as you want to with it. Again, I'm keeping this simple and effective for all the viewers. So we're going to slide the water pan in. It's going to go directly below this bottommost rack. You can pull the rack out if you feel like you need to, but if you just gently push up, let this go in, don't spill the water, you'll see it kind of goes in a groove there. Now you've got the rack directly on top of that. That's how I like to do it. You know, depending upon your personal preference, you may want to smoke more above the rack, but you know, that's whatever you want to do. Okay, and again, expand this video's description and click the link there to find the wireless thermometer with temperature probes like I'm using. You can see this probe, I've got this attachment on, and you can see it'll squeeze. So what we're going to do is put this inside in the back. So I'm going to put it in the back on this level, because I'm, you know, again, I'm only using a single level to smoke because I'm only smoking one butt. But I put it at the very back. Now what this will do, this will allow me to monitor the ambient temperature. So that's the temperature inside the smoker. It'll enable me to keep an eye on the temperature by way of my app. And we're going to go into the app and all that in a little bit. But just to illustrate, this right here you want to hang out because we're going to plug it into the wireless thermometer. Now what we need to do is we need to put our butt in there, but we're not going to quite yet because there's something we want to do first. So go ahead and close this, and just to recap, we got our water pan with water. I added garlic clove. You don't have to, completely optional. We've got our drip pan. We've got our wood chip tray filled with hickory chips. We've inspected to make sure there aren't any rodents or insects in there. And we're closing this. Depending upon how close to a power outlet your smoker is going to be, you may need an extension cord. So this is an outdoor extension cord. I can't emphasize how important that is. You've got to use a certified outdoor use extension cord to be safer. We're going to plug the extension cord into this. And something I do out of paranoia, always elevate my power cord so that if a little bit of rain does come, at least the part where the two cords go together is not sitting down in the rain. What we're going to do next is plug it in, and we're going to power it on, and I'm going to show you after I plug it in what we're going to do to get everything ready to smoke. Okay, so now that it's plugged in, we're going to power it on by pushing this button. One of my minor gripes, and this is my favorite smoker on the market today, but sometimes, especially during brighter sunlight, the display can be a little bit challenging to see. What we're going to do is set the duration, which is this bottom button. I always go for the max, 24 hours, because I'm going to be monitoring this. This is very important, because if you don't set that to the max, say you did 2 hours, when the 2 hour mark hit, it would power off. So then potentially you could really mess up. This right here is the temperature, kind of hard to see. Since we're first starting this, I'm going to crank the temperature up considerably. I'm not trying to block the view that y'all have, I'm just trying to get it to where I can see it. So I'm going to go up to, let's see how far this will go. I'm going to put it at about I'm going to go all the way up to 265, and then once I've done that, I hit the temperature icon again. You can see this red, which indicates it's powered on, and you'll be able to see the temperature start to rise. Now the reason we're doing this at such a high temp, and again, I prefer to smoke at 225 Fahrenheit, but to get the wood chips going, I'm putting it up to a high temp so that once we start to see the smoke coming out, indicating that the wood chips are smoking, then we can reduce the temp to our cooking temp, which in my case is going to be 225 degrees Fahrenheit. And we're going to determine, so we'll see the smoke, that'll be our visual, and then we'll use our wireless ambient probe to dial down that temp after we get the smoke and get it to 225. So while our wood chips start to heat up and start smoking, we get the temp up, you know, to the, what I set it to, the 260. We're going to go ahead and set up our wireless monitor system. And again, you can expand this video's description and click the link there to find where to order one just like this online. This one's nice. It's USB rechargeable, and it's got a little stand. Obviously, you would never put this on the hot surface of the smoker, but you can put it close by. So I've got the stand. I'm going to put it on the ground. This probe, and again, it looks dirty. It's not. It's just the smoke that's built up from a lot of use. So this has been cleaned thoroughly. This is what will actually be stuck into the pork butt when we get to that point. So I'm going to put this probe over here on this clean surface, and we're going to go ahead and connect the ambient probe. One thing I like about this kit is everything's color coded green. So green here, green tip. I'm going to stick this into green. And when I power this on by pushing the power button, and this will do Celsius, I'm doing Fahrenheit, it'll do Celsius, you can see, and it's durable too, you can see the temperature ambient right now is 137 degrees Fahrenheit. Now it's 139. So we can look at this device, we can visually confirm that the temperature is rising, which it should be, because I powered that on, and you know, we're getting it, getting the wood chips going. See, I'll zoom in on that so you can see the temperature rising there. See? So we're going to let this heat up, I'll say 250, 260 degrees. We're going to watch for that smoke, and you know, then we're going to insert the pork butt, but not until we have the smoke, and then again we'll reduce the temp, because we don't want to put the pork butt in there with it over 225 degrees. 225 degrees is my optimal smoking temp, between 200 and 225. But we're gonna let that start smoking, and then we're gonna continue with this tutorial. So if you've got 4K video, crank it up, and you can probably see the smoke. So the smoke's coming out of the little smoke vent at a very consistent level. There's a lot of smoke coming out. So that's another good point. The smoke vent, and I'm going to bring the camera closer to here so you can see how I've got mine set. It's adjustable, and I'm going to show you, number one, the smoke up close, but number two, how I've got the vent configured. So you can really see there the smoke is really coming out. So we've achieved the goal rather of igniting those hickory chips. And you'll see the vent. It's called a damper. It's adjustable. I've got it about half open, as you can see there. So again, you do whatever you want to do. I'm just explaining how I always smoke my butts and how I've achieved consistently excellent results. So that's how I've got mine positioned. Now what we're going to do is adjust the smoker temperature, and then so the smoker temperature, actually it's 275 now. And if you see that flashing, that's because the refresh rate of a camera, it'll do that with certain displays. Nothing wrong with the unit, it's a visual thing. But I've got that set to 275, and you can see my ambient probe is registering 335. So what we want to do is reduce the temp on the Masterbuilt and get it right around 225 degrees on the, so we hit the temp, which is that button, and I'm going to put this down to, there's a slight discrepancy, and again it depends upon which rack you use. I'm putting that on 220. So the Masterbuilt's on 220. We're going to step away for a minute and come back and then check our ambient temp, because this is the most accurate temp, because that probe is on the same rack where our butt will be. But as you can see here, we're wirelessly monitoring on probe number 3 of 4 the ambient temp. So it's 334 and it's dropping. I've had to push my screen, it's dropping. So we were waiting for that to get down to around 225. Then we'll add the meat probe, which will go into the butt, into the pork butt, and it'll be probe 4 of, so we'll have 2 probes. You could use up to 4, we're going to use 2. We're going to use the ambient, which is already connected, and then the pork probe. And you'll see down here it says target temperature 201 degrees Fahrenheit. From my experience, when that pork butt reaches an internal temperature of 201 degrees Fahrenheit, that is the optimal temp. People will vary that by a few degrees, but again, this is what I like, and what I want to do is provide you a step-by-step how I feel that I smoke the perfect pork butt. So 201 degrees it shall remain. That is my target temp. But again, if you were a few degrees higher, maybe just a degree or so less than that, I mean, you definitely want to make sure the pork butt's done. But you know, if it jumped to say 202 or 203, you're probably not going to ruin your smoke. But again, I'm going for optimal. 201 degrees Fahrenheit for me is optimal, and using this wireless meat probe and ambient probe system that I'm using makes monitoring the smoke effortless. So one thing that you'll probably notice, depending upon which level you have your ambient probe on, you know, I'm using 1 rack, you may be using multiple, but I've got this set on 200, and there's a discrepancy. I trust the ambient probe more because it's on the same level as where my pork butt's going to go. But I'm a little bit warm, a little bit over 225. But when I open this door and put the butt in there, then it's, you know, obviously opening the door is going to drop the temp a little bit. After that, I'll monitor and make sure it doesn't climb too high because I want to keep it around 225 for the smoke. But again, to recap what we've done so far, is we got the wood chips going at a higher temp. We reduced the temp to an optimal smoking temp of around 225, and we're about to put the pork butt in. So I've got the pork butt in there. Now what we want to do is put our meat temp probe in. So this is the other probe that will go into the, you want to stick it into the middle of the butt to get the innermost temperature. So how far you stick it in will be determined by the size of the butt. So I've got that to where I know it's in the middle. We're going to route this through beside the ambient probe. We're going to close the door, and we're going to plug this in. So now we can see ambient temp and also meat temp. And most importantly, we can see it through the app. So again, adjust your Masterbuilt temperature accordingly so that the ambient temp is where you want to be smoking. And I want to be smoking at 225. So I'm going to adjust this and get it as close to 225 as possible on the ambient probe. Because I trust the ambient probe more than I do the built-in that's not necessarily specific to a grate level. Grate level meaning the position of the grate inside the smoker. So it's important that you don't open the smoker, because I mean we've put the meat in. We're not going to open it again until the meat temp is 201 degrees Fahrenheit. But what we will do, as the smoke starts to stop, we'll replenish the wood chips. And that's what's so convenient about this smoker. You just twist this, pull this out. Now that is hot, don't touch it. And what you do is get your wood chips without touching it and fill this part up. And then you stick it in. and then you twist it to dump. So see, now if I pull it out, the tray will be empty because it's replenished the wood chips in the little wood chip container on the inside. So that's how you replenish the wood chips. Whenever smoke stops coming out, put more wood chips in, and that'll work best for you, because if you waited too long and let the wood chips burn completely out, then because you're at the low and slow smoking temp now, they may not ignite. So if you've got a little bit of chip still in there and you add more, they'll continue to smoke. And sometimes it may not be a problem, but I've found, when we started this video, that's why I bumped the heat up to get the wood chips going. Then I reduced the temp to about 225 Fahrenheit. So, yep, that's how you replenish the chips. Just do that periodically throughout your smoke. So that's how easy it is to smoke a pork butt, also known as a Boston butt, in the Masterbuilt Electric Smoker. And again, I've linked everything, the smoker, everything that I've used within this video. Expand this video's description and click the link there to find where to order it all online. But I hope I made this simple. Again, once you've started smoking, it's just a matter of, as I just demonstrated, replenishing the hickory chips when smoke stops coming out of the top. So, keep those replenished. That's going to help with the flavor. That hickory is going to give it the barbecue flavor. Depending upon the size of the pork butt, again, mine's about 10 pounds. This is going to smoke, it's probably going to be close to 24 hours. I'll keep an eye on my ambient temp. And again, as I mentioned, once it gets to, 201 degrees Fahrenheit, got that recorded in my app. Yeah, once it gets to 201 degrees Fahrenheit, now that's the meat temperature. So the temperature of the meat, not the ambient, which is the inside of the smoker. Once it gets to 201, once the meat gets to 201 degrees Fahrenheit, it's done. At that point, I'll be able to pull it out of the smoker and let it rest for about a half hour before I shred it. So, but yeah, that's all. You're just gonna have to take your time. Again, as I preface this video with, if you're an impatient person or you don't have the time to commit to it, just don't do it. Because this is not, smoking a pork butt is not something you can rush. You can rush it, but it's not going to be any good. So, hope you enjoyed this video, and now it's just to wait and continue to replenish the wood chips time. Hey y'all, IrixGuy here. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please be sure to subscribe to my channel, and when you do, ring that bell icon to be notified whenever I post another video. Thanks for your viewership, and y'all have a good day.